Welcome to Bits of History. My name is Lee Pulaski, President of the Resurrection Bay Historical Society. This bit of history is from the November 12, 1929 Seward Gateway, which reported that after sailing in Alaska waters since 1900, the wooden steamer Santa Ana had been sold to a steamship company in Tampa, Florida. The Santa Ana was important in Seward's history because it was the ship that brought Seward's founders to Resurrection Bay on August 28, 1903. The Gateway article also relates a less well-known story about the Santa Ana and Seward, which happened in 1904. And that is the one I'm going to read. One more bit of background information. In 1904, there were plans in both Seward and Valdez to build railroads to Fairbanks. And there was a great deal of rivalry and even plain hostility between the two towns. Now to the story. It was the same Santa Ana that carried the first and pioneer locomotive from Seattle to Seward for the Alaska Central Railway in April 1904, and that carried the first cargo of rails for the railroad along with the locomotive. So confident were the people of Valdez that the Alaska Central was a fake, and that the first locomotive for any railroad in these parts would be discharged at Valdez, that they staged a derisive demonstration at the Valdez wharf as the Santa Ana pulled in. They had been assured by both of the two daily newspapers then published in that town that the locomotive being brought up for the Alaska Central by the Santa Ana was built of wood, cleverly painted over to make it appear like an iron locomotive to fool the public. As the Santa Ana tied up at the Valdez dock, that landing place and the approach to it extending for half a mile back to McKinley Avenue were milling masses of people attracted to see the wooden locomotive and throw it into the bay. Captain Schrog of the Santa Ana declared that no less than 100 men promptly jumped from the wharf to the deck of the boat before the ties were fast, and with their pocket knives began excitingly whittling at the locomotive in efforts to prove that it really was wood. Then the word passed silently among the throngs that it was a genuine locomotive, no fooling. Within an hour, they went away from that place, and the wharf was soon alive with the goods of several merchants in Valdez who hastily loaded their stocks for the new terminal city of Seward. I'd like to finish this bit of history with a brief biography of the locomotive we've been talking about. It was built in 1883 for the Northern Pacific. In 1904, it was purchased by the Alaska Central Railway. It arrived in Seward on April 23, 1904. It was used by the Alaska Central Railway, its successor, the Alaska Northern Railway, and its successor, the Alaska Engineering Commission, which built the Alaska Railroad. It was retired in 1920 and scrapped in 1930. Thank you for listening to this bit of history. To learn more about Seward's railroad history, visit the Seward Museum. It is open on Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 5 p.m., and this time of year admission is free.